Hello and welcome, you guys. Oh my gosh, Sandy was going to beat me to it and just start yelling because we're here to celebrate today. Oh my goodness, this has been a long time in the making. It is a way to remember, Sheryl, your dad, in his book, Main Street President, which is out today. You can go and get a copy of it. It is currently number 4 in military history. Let me make sure before I misquote this genre here. In military history, it is currently number 4 on the bestseller list in that category. So make sure that you go and grab your purchase while you can before we change the price and everything like that. But Sheryl, now we're here to celebrate me, Sandy. I know Sandy, but me and Sandy don't know everybody that's on to celebrate with you. So introduce us to everybody so we can all celebrate together.
Okay, I'm Sheryl Papa. I'm Dick Elam's oldest daughter. And Michelle Wood, who's also on here right below me, is one of his other daughters. There's 3 girls and a brother, but I don't think he's coming in. He doesn't do this stuff. There's Larry. Okay. We have Aimee has been kind of helped me get this book published because I knew nothing about it. But I have huge respect for you guys who write and publish books, and I always did, and now I have an even huger respect. So we've got some of Daddy's former students, Tom Young, and then Tom and my dad had a very unique relationship. Tom is a published author, very nicely published, and I've read some of his books, and they're great. Tom and my dad traded manuscripts many years for critique and so forth. Larry Stone is another one of his former students, correct, Larry?
Correct.
And he is in Tennessee and has a whole radio station empire as it goes in there. And then Russ and Vanita are at the Stricker House, which is in Knox, Indiana. That it's the address is 401 Main Street. Thus, that's where the title comes from, and so they're there, and we will probably ask them questions first, just because they have to go skipping out to somewhere else. And my big thank you to Larry and Russ and Vanita and Peg and Tom for coming in and doing this this afternoon with us. Y'all been sharing all these wonderful stories about our dad, and we're just dying to hear some of I want to share those with everybody. And I didn't introduce Sandy, who she's worked with our other sister Cindy. And she's worked with her publicity and marketing. And then Cindy introduced her to my dad. And we had a really nice 4.5 year relationship with her as she tried to help us get everything. And Sandy's the one that introduced me to Aimee and Dina and the other crew that helped me get the book published. So I am not a writer. I'm not an author. I'm not I think I might be ready to head into some editing after this experience. I don't know that I want to do that full time either. And so I tell you what, I would like. I know Tom and Larry, y'all were students of our dad. Is there some gems you would like to share with us about having Dick Elam as your professor?
Make it dizzy.
Huh?
Tom, you want to go first?
Oh, we can't hear you, Tom. You need to adjust your mic again.
Let's put this on the piano, and then I'll sit over here. Instead of me holding it.
Okay, Tom. I think we heard. Oh, there we go.
It won't make you dizzy now.
Tom?
He popped out and popped back in, so now he's going to adjust his mic.
Okay. Yes,
okay,
Russ.
can you hear me now?
Yes, Tom.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes.
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 Okay. Apologies for the technical difficulties. Yes, I had a 40-year professional collaboration with Dick. It began when I was a kid in high school. When I was just 17, I went to the High School Radio TV Institute at UNC Chapel Hill that Dick founded. And as a result of that, I majored in radio, TV, and motion pictures at UNC Chapel Hill and studied under Dick and took a lot of his writing classes. And he really taught me a great deal about broadcast writing and writing in general. And I think he probably said the wisest thing I've ever heard anybody say about the learning process. He said it's a matter of hanging around until you've caught on. And thankfully, he gave me an opportunity to hang around until I caught on with broadcasting. We found out that both of us had a love for the English language and for writing, and we were both also interested in creative writing.
Uh-oh, we lost Tom again.
He's leaving us on a dramatic pause. That's what he's doing. It's a dramatic pause for effect, and then he's going to come back and finish this story because I left me on a cliffhanger, man. I was into it.
Hey, Larry, if it's okay with you, I'm going to kind of jump over to Russ and Vanita, and I think Peg's there, and you've got a whole crew now, don't you, Russ?
Peg's not here.
Oh, okay.
Vanita's here, Lois and Marcia and myself were on the board of the society. I'm the vice president, and on top of that, Vanita's the Stark County historian, so she has a lot of information. But I think what I'm going to do is, why we're still here, to give you a view of the house, the 2 floors that are open, and you can see what we've done. What's happened, we decided the museum was here from 1974. The Schrickers, Henry Schricker died in 66, and the family sold the house. I think it was in 74, and that's when the museum bought it. This was the museum for a number of years, and then they bought a building on Main Street, not Main Street, on the highway in town, and opened a bigger museum. So the house was closed for a while, and then we decided, let's get over here and open it up again. And what's happened now, the family is very happy. We've met all 5 of the 6 grandchildren. They all had furnishings and books and things they took out when they broke up the house. And they're slowly returning all these items back to us that they have. So we got a lot of the original furnishings and items from Henry Schricker.
So the people that the book is about, we are restoring the house they would have had in Indiana that people can come and visit. So if they read the book, then some of those readers can come here, visit the house, and see where Henry and Maude lived and raised their children.
Okay.
So I want to give you a quick tour. Take this. I'm going to face the camera this way. Can you see this now? A chair.
Yes.
We're in the front foyer. This chair is the governor's chair from Indy, and they brought it back here with him. And then for the foyer is out of Main Street. If you can't see, yell too. This dresser, a granddaughter from Indy sent back. When it's ready upstairs, to go in a bedroom upstairs. These 2 chairs, wing chairs, were given to Henry and Maude when he returned to Indiana from the governorship, the last governorship. The oval table was in the family. The round table is a table Maude had that she used to have for tea service when her friends were over, and they actually spins. Some of it spins, so she could serve tea and whatever she was serving. So right now we're in the living room. The piano that Lois is blocking. The piano was a 1913 piano. Henry and Maude got married in 1914, built a house in 1915. And Henry, the story goes, used to wake his children up in the morning by playing the piano. And we know for a fact that this is where it was in 1940, because we found a picture when they were packing to go to Indy. His 2 sons, he was playing the piano, his 2 sons were standing to the stairway side, playing their instruments, and you can see the curve of that stairway in the picture. So we know that's where the piano belongs. When we first came in here, the piano was in the foyer. So we did get that part established. Then we're in the dining room. This little table, Henry and his brother, when they were youngsters, made from scratch. And Henry's father had a grocery store in the next town, North Judson. And maybe you can pull that drawer out, we'll show
I'm
them.
gonna say fold it.
Yeah. You can see part of the wood they used was from packing crates from the store. Did that show up?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. The
So after their parents had both died, the kids separated the belongings. Henry got this table and it sat here in the house. This is where Henry would type. So he had his typewriter on that. So you can envision him typing away sitting at this table.
Yeah, it wasn't really very fancy, but it was very basic housing. The dishes on the table are their good china, was returned from Minneapolis. And many of the items in the china cabinet are from their time. And this corner cabinet, the girls remember this being in the house, and there's the one nephew.
You talk.
Oh, good. You could do that better than me. So this cabinet came from Minneapolis also, and they all remembered it being in this corner. When we took over restoring the house, this had one of these cabinets, display cabinets in the corner. So we removed that and put the corner cabinet where it belongs.
So we're trying to return the house to how it would have been when Henry and Maude lived here during the time that the book is written about them, even though they were not here at the time. This was what their home would have looked like.
I have a question. Are y'all
Sure.
do y'all open the house to people to visit?
Yes.
Is it on a regular basis, or do you do it on
At this point, it is not. It is, people can contact us and bring groups here. Plus, we will have events each year, 4 to 6 a year, where we are open to the public, and we
Okay.
will promote those on our Facebook.
Okay. So, and y'all have a Facebook page, is that correct?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
It's for the Historical Society, and it posts
Okay.
information. We already in October had an open house here. And again, in December, we had an event here, and we have had some hundreds of people come through the house in 2024, just since we've opened. And we're hoping to have even more in 2025.
The little
And-
sidelights is kind of interesting. We had the open house. A lady came through, and on the way out, she said she remembers coming here on Halloween, and Maude sure could be sitting on the porch handing out O. Henry bars. And we thought, well, that's a good idea. We've never opened it for Halloween. So we came here and opened Halloween. We had, over 100 kids come through.
Probably 600.
And we gave out as many O. Henry bars as we could find. There's not a lot out there anymore. We thought it was kind of interesting that that's what she was doing. Of course, O. Henry bars today are about 2 inches wide. I'm sure she gave them out to the big, nickel bars. So we didn't show you the picture of Henry and Maude
Well,
over
we
the
can
fireplace.
catch that after the
Is it?
kitchen,
Okay.
if you want to show the
Yep.
kitchen briefly.
In the pantry.
Yeah, because I don't want to lose everybody. And
No,
Right.
no.
yeah,
So
yeah.
we'll keep it quick here.
Most of the stuff, the material in the pantry is original. Canisters, dishes, pans.
That looks good. Now in the kitchen there is a water pump, right? A hand
That's
water
another
pump.
interesting story. Maude's
Okay.
father was a doctor in town, and he lived here for a while. And when they moved here, Knox had just installed a water system. They had a water tank. And Dr. Brown did not trust the water in the water tank. So he insisted when they built the house to put a pump in. And so the pump's been here since day one. It still operates, but we still use the faucet in town. That's how the pump got in here.
Yeah, I remember my dad was very fascinated by that faucet or the pump
That's
in the
great.
kitchen, and it's
It's
actually in the book, and not to the extent he originally wrote in. I think almost a whole chapter on that hand pump, and then I don't think it got good reviews from his critiques, and so he
They took it out.
Yeah, they took it out. It
read
just
that.
mentions that at one time when he's at the house, I think he goes in and pumps himself.
It was an
glass
interest
of
to us how that developed.
Yes,
And then
that's
and
cool.
through here, we have a half bath. And I think Butler's pantry. It's unusual back in 1914 that there'd be a bathroom, half bath on the first floor, but there is one here. And then from there, we can walk upstairs. There's a, behind Lois.
Depending on how much time they have, whether they want to go
Yeah.
upstairs.
Can I jump over to Tom, let Tom finish his story and
Sure.
come back?
Yes.
Now, y'all need to signal me when it's time for you to leave. So,
While he's talking, we just walk up the stairs. You can just see why he's talking.
okay, that sounds good.
Fair?
Okay, now, Tom,
Right.
you left us hanging.
Okay, can you hear me okay now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I apologize. I reset my my internet connection. I apologize for the technical difficulties. Yes, Dick and I had a 40-year professional collaboration. It started with me as his student, actually, when I was still in high school at the Radio TV Institute that Dick founded at UNC Chapel Hill for rising high school seniors. As a result of that, I majored in radio, TV, and motion pictures and studied with Dick a lot. Learned a great deal about writing from him. One of the main things I wanted to pass along, I don't know if you heard this or not, was he probably said the wisest thing I've ever heard anyone say about the learning process. He said it's a matter of hanging around until you've caught on. And thankfully, he allowed me to hang around long enough to catch on to broadcast journalism. I learned a great deal from him. And for both of us, our fascination with the English language went beyond journalism. We were interested in all kinds of writing, especially creative writing. And as Sheryl alluded to earlier, we exchanged manuscripts for decades, critiquing each other's work. He helped edit all of my novels, and they were all improved for it. It was just a very fruitful relationship. I can't emphasize how much I learned from him.
Tom, in that process of y'all exchanging, I know sometimes we got to read your manuscripts also because he was so enraptured with what you were writing that he asked us to read them. Correct, Mickey?
Oh,
So we kind of felt like we got to critique along with you.
Well, I appreciate the help. Thank you.
Yeah, he believed in editing and
understatement.
Mickey and I could share the family. Y'all had to pay tuition to get his editing advice. We just grew up in the house, so
I still remember him saying, "Boil the fat out of the copy. Take out any unnecessary word," or as other people have described it, put every word on trial for its life.
Yes. So he that, and he had a passion for there being as few inactive verbs as possible. He would redline those also. So it made
exclamation points were absolutely forbidden.
Yeah, exclamation points were for the second coming of Jesus Christ. And
I remember him saying that. I remember him saying exactly that.
I remember one time when he turned 94, I said, okay, I know your teachings say that exclamation points are only supposed to be used for the second coming of Christ, but I think turning 94 and still having it all together deserves a few of those. And so
it does.
And so I gave him a batch of them. And so it was kind of we'd do that too. So, Larry, what were your experiences?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You could probably ask my staff at the radio stations in Tennessee, but I probably quote Dr. Elam every day about those kinds of things. And I don't make them circle and triangle and the different symbols that he taught at North Carolina, but we talk about active verbs, and it means nothing to is or are. What does is and are mean? So we talk about those things every day, and there should never be an adjective in a news story. If it's big, tell them it's 2,000 feet and let them decide if that's big or not. I think the thing that I remember most was I came to North Carolina in 1988, and Dr. Elam at that point was, and my sense was that maybe for a long period of time, he had difficulty hearing. And that for a lot of his students would be, they would be frustrating. And I think a lot of his students kind of thought that he was, kind of out of style. And I was just, eat up with him. I just loved the stories. I loved the the knowledge, the things that he would tell you, and the experiences and the people that he knew. And then I think he thought a lot more about my entrepreneurship than I ever thought, because he encouraged me in his second class, management class, to do a project to buy a radio station in Nags Head, North Carolina. And that was my senior project, was to go through the whole process of the financing and how much it would cost. And I can tell you that was a lot harder than the process of actually buying a radio station in Tennessee, was the senior project. But just the other thing that I came to Tennessee to start doing the Titans, and so at one point during the 17 years that I did the Titans games, we played in Seattle, and I called him, and he's like, "Let's meet," and we met, and just out of the blue, he handed me a picture that he had painted, and he's like, "I want you to have this." And for a teacher, for someone that I looked up to, you don't expect that you meant something to him. I knew how much he meant to me, but I didn't expect that I meant something to him. And so that piece of art hangs in my house, and it's one of my proud possessions. So.
Well, and Larry, if you need some more, I've got a few.
If you want to know how much the whole family appreciates.
Hey, Russ, thank you so.
Paintings too, and it's an honor to have them. They're hanging on my wall.
Russ, I don't know. Did you get gifted a painting?
No, I did not.
Well, he moved from his painting era of his life to the writing era, and I think he did that. How did you all become connected with him? Did he contact y'all about the house? Or
remember, you came out with your sister and your father, and Ron Dental at the time was the president of the society, and he was out of town. And they asked me if I would take you to the museum and to the house. And then we went out to lunch after.
Yes.
And then we live out south of town. You're going to come out to our house, but we ran out of time. So, but that's going to be what, 10 years ago?
Yeah, probably about 2018.
Yeah, okay.
And my story is slightly different. Your dad and I only spoke on the telephone. However, we had a special relationship, and the reason has nothing to do with the Main Street president as such, although I did do some editing for him. Knowing he was from Abilene, Texas, I asked him a question and then sat in absolute fascination. And the reason I cared was my dad was a World War II soldier. And in January of 44, my mother got on a train in Indiana and traveled to Abilene, Texas, and there's a long story with that. And they were married at Camp Barkley. And your dad is the last person I've ever been able to speak with who remembered Camp Barkley and could tell me stories of it, of the time period when my parents lived there. And he was so happy that there was somebody who at least was aware of Camp Barkley. And I was thrilled that someone had seen the camp where my parents had married. So your dad and I not only talked about the Main Street president, but we also had conversations regarding Abilene, Texas of the 1940s.
Now, the story he told was that he was just walking, he was in Knox, Indiana to visit Louise, and he was just walking and discovered the house and asked about it and everything. Do y'all have any more? Is there a different story, or how did y'all end up connected with him? Did he just knock on the door? And he would.
Yeah, my connection is when you came out to see the house and museum.
Oh,
I think
okay.
he was visiting Louise. But after that one experience we had, I'd say we really developed a friendship over the internet in the time between the visit and his passing. So we had a lot of conversations about the house and when he's writing the book. So that's the only time I met him, when you all three came up here.
Okay.
Yeah.
He says he just discovered the house and started asking questions, but I haven't found whoever he started asking questions of. So
From my understanding, it was open as a museum when he
Okay.
discovered it.
Okay.
And from what he said to me, I wasn't here at the time either, but what he said to me is he came in and saw it as a museum, and whoever was working talked to him about Henry Schricker, and then he began to do research and found out more about Henry and the family.
Okay.
And I think you probably met Peg Gretton at the time. She was on the board. So it might have been.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you went somewhere with my dad and Larry and Tom and everybody, Mickey can attest to this. You met everybody in the room, and then you met some other people who came into the room and got introduced. And so people would say, "Oh, I met you with your dad." And I'm going, okay. And Russ, I do remember you from that day, but this is the first time I've ever even seen Larry and Tom in the face, and I actually felt like I knew them both, very, very well. And I know Mickey felt the same way too, because we heard about you. Larry, I agree. He really did care about y'all as students. And was more than happy to take some credit for your success, Tom and Larry and all the other students. He just, I think he loved teaching people the things that he loved.
And Tom, I think I have all the books you sent to my dad and that he has. I think I have every one of your books, and I am loving them all.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'm honored. And to Cheryl's point, you're exactly right about him loving to teach. And I said something about this in the thoughts that I passed along when he passed away. Passed along some observations from his service. But in academia, you run across some people who seem to resent having to teach undergraduates. They'd rather write their papers and think they're great thoughts, and maybe they got into academia for the wrong reasons. That was the opposite was true of Dick Elam. He loved to teach. He did it for all the right reasons. And with his skills and knowledge and background, he could have spent that time doing things far more lucrative, but he just loved to teach. And that's part of why he was so good at it.
Just to follow up to that point, Tom, at the time that I was graduating North Carolina, the radio television department was going away, essentially, and many of the resources were being folded into the journalism school. I was a unique one in that for some odd reason, I had decided to double major in both RTV and journalism. And of all the professors that I had in either program, he was the one who wanted to teach. And I remember talking to him when I made the decision to leave the radio station in Chapel Hill and go back to school because I wanted to teach. And he said, Larry, he said, I don't know if you're going to like this. And he was so right, because everything that I found at the University of Tennessee, and I don't think Tennessee is any different than any other school of that magnitude, it was all about research. And if you wanted to teach, you were like, you had the plague or something. But he wanted to teach, and he wanted to get people excited about whether it was the journalism or ownership or making movies or whatever it was that people were interested in. That's what he wanted to do.
Absolutely.
Well, and I think he also had a gift of looking at people, especially his students, and seeing your very special talents and then telling you these were your very special talents, whether you thought they were or not, and and encouraging you to go that way. I remember, this is a crazy story, but after he started writing, he wanted us all to write, and he would say, I'd tell him something, and he'd say, "You need to write that down. You need to write a book. You need to do this." And he was in the hospital having a procedure, and this darling nurse came in, and of course he made friends with her immediately, and she had escaped Vietnam during the war and everything else with her family. And he's telling her, "You need to write a book. You've got to write this down. This has to be a book." So I've wondered many times how many people have gone into something or written a book or done something because he saw that gift in them and encouraged it. I've just heard from too many of his students since he passed away who said that very thing. And I'm like, okay, I kind of can't speak to that because he was a father. And so I had a different relationship with him than a student. But he told me many a time I need to write it down. And guys, that's what you authors have my respect. I'm not writing anything down. There is nothing in me that needs to come out. It's all okay. But I do understand and appreciate that desire to create and to share. So
He definitely.
Thank you all for having us on. We are going to have to leave.
Okay.
Eating, but this has been so interesting.
Is there any other question before we go about the
Does
house?
anybody have any questions about the house or the Shriekers? Thank you, Russ. Thank you. Thank you, Russ.
And we're very happy that your dad did his research and printed a book about the subject, because it's a great story. It would have been a lot different if he not turned the president down.
I know it is. It's based on a really good.
Yeah, that's a great story.
Yes, it is. So
well, thanks for having us.
Thank you, Russ.
Bye, Russ.
Anita. Bye.
Bye now.
Nice
and
to
we'll
meet you.
talk. Okay. Anyway, so that's my profound stuff to say. Sandy, you enjoyed many of his stories.
As you were talking about Abilene, and the lady's gone already, but I remember so I worked with Cindy first for a couple of years with her book. And then when she was going to go write another book and not do marketing at the time, she said, I think you work great with my dad. And so she introduced me. And so the very first call I had with them, they were talking about Anne Bonny's Wake, the first book, and talking about yachts and sailboats and all this stuff. And he said, I was the president of the yacht club in Abilene, Texas. And I remember thinking, why would you need a yacht club in Abilene, Texas? It's not close to the water. There's no reason. What do you need? But I have to say, when I went to Google and looked at the map, there was a very, very large lake there in Abilene, Texas. And I'm like, okay. So that's why you needed a yacht club there, because there really is water. And so that was funny. But I reminded you of that a few times afterwards. I'm like, I just could see no reason why you'd be the head of a yacht club in Abilene, Texas. Because for me, Abilene, Texas was like seeing something about Lubbock or one of those. The West Texas looked all the same to me. And that was like completely flat, no trees, nothing, just plain ground with oil wells coming out of it. So anyway, that was one of the stories that I remembered about him. But I started working with him. Don't even remember what year it was that I started working. We started doing research on his book, The Main Street President, and some of his other books that he was interested in. A continuation of the story in Anne Bonny's Wake and all of that. So we started meeting. We met once a week for years and years. And the two of us met for a long time. And then I don't know if somebody got wind of the fact that our calls might not have been that productive or not, but all of a sudden we have Sheryl that's joining us. Sheryl, I don't even remember what happened that you started meeting with us, but I'm like, okay, he sent somebody to keep an eye on us. But it was fun. We had so much fun. And then when Sheryl joined us, we just ended up having even more fun. And so some of our 30-minute calls lasted quite a lot longer than 30 minutes. And I retired in 2021, and Aimee took over the company, and she's now doing an absolutely fantastic job with the publishing, and does even more things that I never even dreamed of doing. So when I told him I was going to retire, he's like, "Please don't give me to somebody else. Please, you can have just one client and still be retired." And I'm like, I can't do that. It was one of the highlights of my week anyway. So I told Aimee I'm going to continue to work with Dick Elam and his books. And so I kept on, and I worked only with him, which really made it nice that I didn't have to think about any other clients. I just had one to think about, and that was very, very rewarding, and I loved it. And I guess one of my biggest regrets is that I was not able to get him an agent for Main Street President, because that was what he really, really wanted. But we got lots of rejections, so we didn't get anyone taking him on. So anyway, then after he passed, and Sheryl did the publishing and got with Aimee, and so now we do have the book Main Street President. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful book. If you haven't seen it, I think most of you have. And so I'm very excited about it being number 4, and maybe even going on beyond that, because the whole package that Aimee has been working on for all day today, as far as the marketing, will just continue, because once you start a marketing ball rolling, it just keeps growing and growing. So we're going to be watching for it to be number 1. And so Sheryl, I love you. I told her the other day, I feel like I'm part of the Elam family.
You
are.
And
so is Tom, and so is Larry, and
Aimee. You're now.
So we have to attend these Elam family events that they have on a regular basis. So anyway, thank you very much, Mickey. It's very nice to meet you. I heard a lot about all the other siblings. And so I look forward to, staying in touch with you guys after this is over. But as of this month, my work is done. So I will turn everything over to Aimee and Sheryl. But it's been great, Sheryl. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you, Sandy, for so much.
Mickey, I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to come up there that one. If I'd have known that was my only weekend I would ever have a chance to come up there, I would have come regardless of what was going on. But I'm sorry I didn't get to meet all of you in person, but that can still happen. So I look forward to that.
Tom, Larry, thank y'all so much for coming in and sharing your stories.
Well, this has been an honor. I am honored to have had this association with Dick and his family, and it's been quite a treat to get to do this. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, because we don't want to lose. I mean, like I said, you're now one of the branches of the family, so we really
That's
don't
an
want to
honor.
lose. Well,
think about that, Tom.
I'd love to ask a question, because I've always
Sure.
wondered. I mean, what was he like as a dad?
Sheryl, I ain't answering that one.
There was always something going on at our house. I mean, there seriously was. We've got the red line stories. We've all got one, because we grew up in the age where you sat up till midnight writing the essay that was due the next day for first period. And
I feel like most people still do that, because I did that. Or you cliff note the book you were supposed to read, and then you had to write the essay. And then you just hoped that your English teacher, which I don't know why we all hoped this, wasn't a huge, grammar Nazi, and you just could get away and pull an A when you pulled an all-nighter to write this paper. I don't know if y'all have that experience, but I had that in high school, in college, and I have that experience with emails. Okay. It just has evolved. It's evolved into these things. So,
well, we all made the mistake one time, which is we left that essay in view of Daddy, who got up before all of us. And so you would go to bed, you'd finished your essay, it was handwritten, you'd laid it out. And when you got up, it was redlined. And you had to, of course, find time to recopy that so that you could turn it in. So you learned that after you finished it, you hid the essay because not because we did not appreciate his comments. I mean, he had good edits on there for sure. You just didn't have time to recopy it. But I know.
Larry, I'll sum it up with one of the last things my dad said to me in the hospital is he reached over and held my hand and he said, "We had a good time."
Yeah, we did. We did. And he never met a stranger. I mean, my dad was my dad was an only child, and I think he was one of the most inclusive people I've ever known. So yeah, Larry, he'd say, let's all go to dinner when we got together. And then we'd have lots of people show up. And the rule was if you ever came and ate dinner with all of us, then you had to be invited for the next dinner. So you can imagine how large they were. But we got to meet some amazing people like the two of you and other people that I just think he, and with the help of my mom, gave us a very broadened sense of the world and the different types of people with a lot of respect for that. So, I sit here and you go, I was in education. So everybody that comes out of education classes tends to stay in education. But I look here, Tom, you went one direction, Larry, you went another. And there's just as many other of his students that went so many different directions. And some of that's the radio, TV, film arena. But I think a lot of it was his encouragement to find your niche and do that. So that's a really interesting question, Larry. Yeah. But we had a good time. We had a great time. You never got to rest. There was always something.
There was probably not just a lot of sitting around on a Sunday afternoon, napping.
No, there wasn't. There was always a lot. I had a girlfriend call me and she said, "I just loved going to your house after Daddy passed away." She said, "I just always loved going to your house because there was so much going on." And I said, "Do you understand? I loved going to your house because there wasn't a lot of stuff." It just seemed, I just didn't know households could be that calm. So,
I can see that.
You throw in 4 kids, and there were always, gosh, Mickey, at least 2 dogs and a couple of cats.
2 dogs, and 6 cats.
Yeah.
18 kids running around.
Yeah.
Came over.
The doors were open. Bring anybody in that you wanted to, and they were welcome. So, but I think when I started getting into Main Street President, which I got to read quite a few times, there's so much of Daddy in that book. It just kind of, he wrote himself. And Tom, I guess that's what authors do, but that you write yourself. But I was like, no. So that was a unique gift that kind of came from that. So, but
thank you, Larry.
Thank you all for having us. I really.
Oh, thank you for coming and helping us explain Dick Elam. So, and I'll second what Sandy and Aimee said. Main Street President's on Amazon, and it's on a special through tonight, right? Aimee, is that correct?
Yes, and it's currently number 4, I'm telling you, in the bestsellers. So, I mean, you can classify it as a bestseller. You've broken into the top 10. You are number 4. So we're moving on up. Man, that song just popped in my head. And I hope you guys know that. But I was like, man, and then I remembered that I'm not muted, so I can't start singing that song. But that is the song that I was referring to when I said that. So,
moving on up to the top.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, thank you, Aimee, for pulling all this together, and a special thank you to you and Sandy and Dina and Kelly for helping me get the book published. So I couldn't have done it without you guys.
Oh no, it was an honor for us. I didn't get to meet your dad. Sandy kept your dad to herself. I didn't get to meet your dad, and that's okay. I love him. I felt like him and Sandy had a special like bond and relationship, and I loved to hear about it because she would talk about him all the time. So to get the book out to help you do that, for him and to honor him was, I guess, the closest I'm ever going to feel to Dick Elam. But as Mickey said, I'm now on here as y'all's family. I'm not going to drive for dinner though. Okay, y'all are like 4 hours from me, and I love all of y'all, but no meal is worth a 4-hour drive.
Well, Tom and Larry are much further away.
See, they understand what I'm saying. It's just we love you all dearly. But yes, but no, I mean it was a lot of fun. The cover is beautiful. The book is doing amazing things, and so the fact that Sandy thought of me and Dina to help you is just a wonderful thing. So thanks for letting me and Dina help you.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Larry, Sandy. As always, thank you so much. So
You're quite welcome.
Thank you very much.
Amy, I don't know do we just all say? Do we sing Kumbaya or?
I mean, coming off of what I just did, we could. No one would be shocked or surprised by that by any means, because I've had that. But no, I will sign us off. Well, all of you guys, we hope that you guys are having a good Monday evening, staying warm wherever you are. Us here in Texas are fixing to get cold, and we've just decided that people in the north need to come get their weather back. Okay, we're not built for coldness. We're just not. So come get it back, because we're all freezing down here. But no, I want to say thank you to everyone for tuning in and celebrating this big milestone for Dick Elam that his daughter had put out for him. Go and download it. Take advantage of the promotion while you can. Order a physical copy. It's just a beautiful cover to have and a wonderful story. But until next time, in the next celebration that we have going on, stay warm, stay safe, keep writing, everybody. But until then, bye for now, everybody.
Bye.